On today's episode, we'll talk about learning to work smarter and not harder, No Country for Old Men, Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, what types of shoes to wear on set, and of course, the crazy world of competitive air hockey. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Camera, D-Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to The Op, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I am Dave Kamades, your host, and coming to you from over the internets today with someone actually I don't know very well, but I've heard her name a lot, Liz Cash, who was in the business and sort of still is in the business in a very different way, but that I think is actually really important and kind of cool for operators, but we'll get to that. I'll let her explain that to you. Liz did about a decade in the business and worked on, among other things, No Country for Old Men, Ghostbusters, the 2016 version, The Following, Mildred Pierce, Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Shame, which was actually another movie that I worked on, that she worked on, but I think she was on additional units, so we didn't run into each other. But she had a really, really good career and kind of came on something else that she had a passion for and just sort of jumped on it. And like I said, I'm going to let her talk to us about that. But Liz, thanks for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How's New York these days? Is it hot yet?
It just got up to 80 yesterday, so we're getting there.
Is it the nasty New York hot, or is it like, the still spring? It's okay.
Yesterday was pretty okay, and I'll take it over the 40 degrees and raining that we had all week the week before.
I was actually there 2 weekends ago, and it was like, it's raining and like 50, and this isn't what I signed up for, but that's New York. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your story? How'd you get to where you are, and what's the deal?
So I have a bit of a circuitous path. I've always been the kind of person that's interested in a lot of different things. I knew that I wanted to make films probably as early as, 13 years old, 14 years old. I had gotten into photography and was initially kind of interested in documentary film. But the point at which I applied to film schools, there really weren't any documentary programs. And so given my interest in photography, I pursued the cinematography track at a school that no longer exists, unfortunately, called the College of Santa Fe.
Oh, wow.
In New Mexico.
And is this in, I was going to say, is it in Santa Fe? But I'm going to guess it's in Santa Fe. But let me ask you a question. Is the College of Santa Fe like right in the heart of Santa Fe, and it has its own campus?
Yes, its own campus.
And actually everything in Santa Fe has a ton of prairie dogs. I think that we shot there for Manhattan. I think our
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think our actual stages or our outside compound was in the back of that, and then I think that was also the headquarters for us for The Harder They Fall. So I guess they use it for film stuff now.
Yeah, Greer Garson Studios are on the campus. I mean, it's part of what attracted me to the school when I visited was they have enormous studios, like bigger than AFI.
Yep, very cool.
I grew up doing martial arts from ages 5 until 18. And in college, I very sort of unexpectedly got recruited to box.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you mean recruited? Like someone saw you doing martial arts and said you should box, or? Some
of my buddies in film school were also big martial arts nerds, and they started this boxing club, and they were like, "Oh, Liz, you should come. And I was resistant at first because I was like, "No, I do kung fu. I don't box." But finally I go, and the coach sees me throw punches, which obviously I've been doing for a long time at that point.
Sure.
And he pulled me aside afterwards, and he was like, "I'll make you a world champion."
Whoa.
Yeah, he was like, "I think you have what it takes, and, if you'll let me, I'll train you." I said,
That's crazy.
yeah, and I was like, all right, cool. I'd like to be a world champion.
Wait, so what year is this?
This is sophomore year of college.
But I mean, what year?
Oh,
What?
2003?
So I have no idea. Is women's boxing a thing at that point, or is it
Women's
new?
boxing is kind of a thing. Like Layla Ali was already
Okay, all right.
well known.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like early stages, like it wasn't in the Olympics yet, but it had, somewhat of a presence.
Mm-hmm.
And so, long story short, I get into boxing unexpectedly and I, have mixed feelings about it for a little while. But by my senior year of film school, I'm taking it pretty seriously. I decide that I'm interested in competing. And so by the time I graduate film school, I've had my first boxing match at an event called Hell in the Cell.
This sounds super classy.
Oh boy, was it. Yeah.
In New Mexico or
This was in New Mexico in downtown
Wow.
Santa Fe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big event. It was at the Santa Fe Convention Center. There were probably 1,000 people in the audience. I mean, it was kickboxing, boxing, and cage fighting all in one event.
Wow.
Yeah. And so anyway, it went well, I guess. And afterwards my coach was really pressuring me to keep training and, like let's turn pro, you can do it, blah blah blah. I didn't really want to, but shortly around that same time, this is like somewhere late 2005, No Country for Old Men comes to town. And they're shooting at the College of Santa Fe studios, part-time, and a College of Santa Fe alumnus, Liza Bambanek.
I was going to ask you if that was the connection, because she's a good dear friend of mine and an amazing. Well, actually, she's an amazing operator now. She made the jump.
Yeah, yeah, and so I went, to the film program, and I was like, can I get an introduction to somebody? So anyway, this was sort of the start of my divide, where I want to work on No Country for Old Men. What does this mean for my boxing career? And I start to have this push-pull experience.
Oh, that old chestnut that we all dealt with as young filmmakers.
Yeah. And I get on No Country eventually as the camera PA, and of course I'm thrilled.
What an amazing group to be with, and Andy Harris, and of course Deakins isn't too bad, and
yes,
amazing.
Yeah, all those guys were amazing.
Was Mitch Lillian the key grip?
Mitch Lillian, yep, Rick Mariquin, all those guys.
And that was basically your first film.
First job out of film school. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. That's kind of amazing.
I mean, I like to tell people that the Coen brothers ruined me. Having that as your first experience is kind of a rude awakening to what's coming.
Yeah. That's a high plateau to start on. And it was a good experience, I'm assuming. Like you learned.
It was amazing.
It was a great people, and like those are the type of people who every single one of them will take you under their wing if you want to learn. So yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, and so I do No Country. I see, oh wow, this is out there. How exciting. And then of course proceed to work on sort of run-of-the-mill television shows that come through New Mexico. Not feeling as excited about those opportunities. At this point, I've decided boxing isn't for me. Had a little run-in with a concussion and decided I would like to preserve my brain.
Probably a good call. Yeah.
But that then I still was really loving the competitive athlete lifestyle. I had gotten really comfortable with training and pushing myself and sort of testing my limits. Prior to boxing, I had some issues with low back pain, and it was really through training and boxing that I realized, like, oh wow, I don't have to accept that this is the state of my body forever. I can make choices that change my outcomes. And so after boxing, I ended up having another little diversion into competitive bike racing.
Oh, wow.
So I raced as a cyclist from 2007 to 2009, like on a sponsored team.
This is road racing, or this
road racing? Okay. Yeah.
Wow, that's what team?
Colavita.
Okay, that's amazing. And so, did you? I mean, just in the United States, or did you travel around the world?
In the United States, yeah, all over the country. Went to national championships 2008. It was an interesting time. I was quite the competitive junkie.
That's great. And so did you just like walk away from film during that time, or were you doing both?
I was trying to do both, which
Mm.
was not working out well.
Yeah.
What ended up happening is the economy crashed 2008 and the sponsorship money fell out from women's cycling. So at that point, it didn't make sense to keep pushing for that. And so I moved to New York, decided, okay, like let's put this competitive athletic thing aside and pursue my career seriously.
Yeah.
So I moved to New York 2009 and was actually very lucky to end up on Mildred Pierce
Hmm.
with Eric's. Well, actually, no, sorry. I ended up on Wall Street Money Never Sleeps with Mike Cambria and Pat Capone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, for anyone out there listening, I got the job because I called the union office and I put my name on the available list.
That's amazing. There you go. And they were cool enough to be looking on there for people they needed. So were you the
I
loader?
was the loader on
That's
second
awesome.
unit. Yep.
All right. That's great. Put yourself on the availability list, people.
Yeah. Yep. You never know.
Well, the thing that I always tell people always go, that never works. And it's like, well, it doesn't work if you're not on it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And you're proof right there. And then you fell in with some really good people. I mean, obviously.
Yes, and that job got me on to Mildred Pierce, which was then being Eric Swanwick's loader.
Which is like, you're not going to work with anybody better than that. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Eric Swanwick will put you through the ropes to make sure you're.
Eric, the last thing I did with Eric, he showed up. I was a commercial or something like that when I was in New York. And I remember he showed up and he had a pencil and he had a tape measure. And that was it.
I believe that. I believe that.
And he's just the best.
He is the best.
Yeah,
He absolutely.
yeah.
But I think at that time I was in an interesting place. Like I had gotten myself into a good position, and I had this athletic mentality in my mind of like, oh, I'm so strong and I'm so this. But I was so young that I hadn't actually learned to work smarter and not harder all the time. So, to prove how tough I was, I would go pick up 2 5-hole lens cases by myself and walk them across set.
Yep.
And that eventually led to a back injury.
Ooh.
Yeah, hurt my low back pretty nicely at the end of Mildred Pierce. Missed out on a away job with Swanwick that I was supposed to roll into after that. And that was really where my transition started to happen, because for 6 months, I had so much low back pain. I definitely didn't feel like I could work.
Oh my God.
And I had a workers' comp case. I went to workers' comp physical therapy. It was a joke.
Yep.
I was, even at that time, not actually knowing that much about the body in the way that I do now. I was mind blown by the idiotic things they would have me do.
Really?
Under the guise that it was going to help me, like shoulder press, like military. I'm like, this is not, what are we doing here? This is not helpful. But as time went on, a doctor friend of mine recommended that maybe I try to find an osteopath. And I get on Google and I type in Brooklyn osteopath, and I find this guy who is an amazing osteopath. If anyone ever needs some really great hands-on support, his name's Dr. Ben Taylor. His business is called Brooklyn Osteopathy. And after being in pain for 6 months, I see him once, and afterwards, for the first time, I feel something different.
Wow.
Yeah, for the first time, back pain at least became hip pain.
It moved at least.
Yeah, it moved. And I called him up and I was like, Dr. Taylor, my hip hurts. Is this okay? And he was like, no, this is great. This is great. And so in any case, I see Dr. Taylor probably once a week for about 8 weeks, and I get better.
That's
and
cool.
At this point, it just kind of cracked the door open in my mind of how is it possible that I've seen so many other providers who could do nothing, and this guy knows something that helped.
Yeah.
Like, why don't they know that? And what is it that he knew? And it planted a seed in my mind that wouldn't it be cool to be that person?
That's very cool. Let me ask you a question of what, not to go into too much detail of it, but was the stuff that he was doing, having you do, was it sort of like, oh my gosh, this is rocket science, or just, oh no, these targeted, physical therapy things like make sense, and I can feel I can feel something happening? Is it just that he understood it better?
I think I think his grasp of the way the body works as a system
Yeah.
is much more sound, and he I mean, some of it absolutely does come down to like how well do you really understand anatomy and the way systems in the body build tension in different places.
Sure.
I mean, at this point in time, after having bike raced for several years, my back had been bothering me for a little while. And it just got pushed over the limit. So he was kind of unwinding a lot of patterns that
Wow.
had gotten there. Now, to be clear, he wasn't having me do any sort of exercises particularly. It's mostly hands-on. But at that point, I had tried chiropractors and things like that. And I think what impressed me is that what he was doing was very subtle.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of crack pop manipulation stuff. Sometimes I couldn't really even say what he was doing. But I will say I have no doubt that having had a concussion, as a boxer was probably part of the equation.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, once you disrupt signaling to and from the cervical spine,
Oh.
and the cranium, that's going to have a significant impact on how we handle the rest of our body.
So you're saying that's not good?
Not good.
No, I hadn't thought about it. That makes sense. And it's funny you were saying about your back pain went down to your hip. I shattered my hip when I was 11, and I had avascular necrosis. I was on crutches for two years, and I was never supposed to walk again.
Wow.
And I had back issues because, of course, I'm a Steadicam operator of a certain age. But there are times when it's been really bad where they've gone, oh no, these are your hip flexors that are pulling. Like everything's connected, right? As you know.
Right.
Obviously. But it is. But I don't think most people know these things.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a really important turning point for people to start to realize that your back pain may not be about your back.
It's just where you're feeling it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I got from Dr. Taylor. And, I went forward with my film career and kept having these incidents where the competitive athlete in me just couldn't hold back. I would go rock climbing and I would jump and grab something and sprain my shoulder.
Oh my gosh.
I hadn't really learned the art of doing less with more at that point. I was kind of all about more.
And how old are you at this point when you hurt your back on Mildred Pierce?
I was probably 28.
Oh my gosh! But you're 28 and you've had like 4 full careers almost, or whatever. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you said that you were always interested in stuff, so the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
So were you hurting yourself to the point that you couldn't do your work, or just like you just?
No, it was just an impediment.
Yeah.
And so I forget the exact year that we were filming. I want to say 2013, 2014. Ninja Turtles comes to town.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first big Ninja Turtles remake, and because I grew up doing martial arts,
oh yeah,
I was excited.
Yeah, that's like the double word score right there. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh man, we were on second unit again. I was with Mike Cambria and Pat Capone, and we're doing the second unit, all the fight scenes.
All the fights, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So after about 2 days, I was like, I want to be in this movie. So I went to the first AD who turned around and introduced me to the fight choreographer, and I give him my spiel, and I'm like, I have 13 years of martial arts experience, and I boxed in college, and I want to be a stunt person in this film. Like, what can you do for me?
Oh my gosh, I love it though, and probably never thinking that there was anything wrong. Like, of course, this is going to work.
You can't hurt to ask, right? All they
you're
can
right.
say is
You're
no.
absolutely right. Absolute proof. And so what happened?
So he says, sure, do you have a reel? And I said, no, let me get back to you. So I go to my trainer at the time, who happens to know a stunt guy at the gym. We start talking, bada bing, bada boom. 2 weeks later, I've got my reel.
Amazing.
We shoot a fight sequence in my old Brooklyn apartment. And the best part about that story is, we probably start at 9 and we finish at 5. And it's me and like 5 big guys. And we are in there, hi-ya, hi-ya, smack, crash, bam. And by about 3 o'clock, I get a call from my landlord, and he says, what is going on in there? I'm getting calls from the neighbors. And I was like, hold on, we've been hi-yaing for the last 6 hours, and now you're worried?
And now you're worried.
Like, geez, I could have been dead by now.
New York, they don't really care what's going on. They just care that they can't hear their TV when they're watching or something.
Seriously.
That's bad. Now, wait, I have to ask you a question. Does this tape still exist somewhere?
Oh, yeah, it's on my Instagram.
Oh, I'm gonna have to grab this from you and put it on the website. That's fantastic. And is it great? Like, is it?
It's pretty awesome.
That's great. That's
I mean, the best part of the story for anyone who wants to check out the link for the sequence is there's a part in the fight scene where there's a big guy on my right and there's another guy on my left, and I give the guy on my left like a 1-2 hi-ya with my arms, and then I'm supposed to sidekick the guy on my right, and he's a big guy. 6'3", probably 250.
Yeah.
And they kept telling me, like, kick him harder, he can take it. So I said, okay, and I let it rip, and I kick him right in the mouth.
Ooh.
I was supposed to hit him in the chest, and I was like, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And he turns to me, and he goes, don't ever cut! You just ruined that take.
Really? Oh boy. And yeah, he's right though, actually, because at that point, like, the kick to the mouth is useless. At least it was useful before.
But thankfully for editing skills, it's in there.
Oh, good.
I cut it like just as my foot makes contact with his face, so it made the cut.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna post the link to that, and everybody can see. I'm looking forward to seeing it. That's great. So you brought him the reel.
So I bring him the reel, and he's like, yes, you definitely have, some great moves here. Unfortunately, the film's already cast, and the only woman in the whole stunt crew is the double for April O'Neil, who's not exactly a kung fu master to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But that experience put me on another turn because I got terrible whiplash making that video.
Oh, geez.
Terrible whiplash. Like, I went back to work, and my neck hurt so bad I had to like hold my head to turn.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was really bad.
Okay.
And that then opened the door to new injuries. So now I'm really on the path of paying more attention to how I'm training. What are the physical therapists doing with me? And, whiplash, kind of like concussions, can have a lot of repercussions.
Yeah.
So now when I go see a physical therapist, I'm asking them all kinds of questions. Like, well, how did you know to do this? And what about this? And I read a thing that said, like, now I'm becoming that patient that has 100 questions.
Yeah, I have Google, but you're actually probably the good one who actually brings real stuff, as opposed to I read that there's this oil I can get or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think at that point I had been through enough that I just wanted to understand more.
Yeah.
And so I guess by about 2015, I was really starting to question. I think by that time I was starting to get focus pulling opportunities. And that was exciting. But I was studying the body in all of my free time. I mean, I'd come home from work, and while I'm laying in bed, I'm like reading articles about how the diaphragm functions and where it attaches to the spine and stuff like that.
Oh my God. With no formal training, just like totally self-taught.
Just very curious.
Yeah, that's great.
And yeah, because of everything, I was starting to poke around about, because, hang on, rewind for a second. In college, I had a minor in history. And through that history minor, one of the things I really began to appreciate is why it's important to check the footnotes, because the footnotes are where they got their information from. So I got to be a pretty good detective going down the rabbit hole of what people are explaining and where did it come from and what is the origin of the thought process.
Yeah.
So
this was a little baked into your the way you learn things anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like by this time, I think the last full-time job I took in the movie business was on the Mysteries of Laura television series.
I remember that. Yeah.
And people would be complaining about their knee pain on set, and I'd be like, try this. And it would work. And I'd be like, yes. So, I had become very curious, and like I said, becoming someone like Dr. Taylor had been for me. And at a certain point, I just felt like I had nothing to lose but to go for it.
Yeah.
Now, the movie business was in a very different state then than it is now. So my rationale for leaving at that time was that the movie business isn't going anywhere. And I would rather have tried than failed than go to my deathbed wondering what had happened if I didn't try.
Yeah. Well, it also seems like, based on your history, you've been doing this for 6-7 years or whatever, and it was time to start something different.
Sort of, yeah.
That's great, though. Yeah, that's fantastic. Was that a tough decision to make? I mean, because like it didn't sound like you're you were blowing up, but it sounded like you were consistently with good people and you were working a lot. I mean, was it hard to step away from that?
I think I just felt called,
That's great.
you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I think I just trusted myself to figure it out.
That's great. I mean, that says a lot about you, obviously, and not everybody can do that. There are a lot of people who want to do something but just don't have the whatever it takes to step off, the edge and see what happens.
Well, I will also say, the first couple years in my transition out of the business, it was intense.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing that some people might not have patience for, because I was so 2016, I get my personal training certification, I get a nutrition coaching certification, because I knew I wanted to work for myself. And I felt like, why don't I learn to start running a business while I'm learning all of the skills, about the body and all of that. So I get a job at a gym, which was a terrible experience, while I sign up for prerequisite courses for a doctorate in physical therapy.
Whoa.
Because I went to film school, so I don't have the science courses that you have to have. So, I start going to school, I'm day playing in the business as often as I can, and I'm personal training when I'm not doing that. And
Wow.
I was basically doing one thing or another every day for like years.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how you said going back to school. So is that 2 years, 3 years? What is that?
So I was working on the prerequisites for probably a solid 2.5 years.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those things. I could have gone faster.
But yeah, you got to make some money and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I was paying for everything in New York City with the goal of getting into a state school. So tuition would be low, which means I've got to cover the cost of living in New York City. But in the end, it just made the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 2.5 years or so of prerequisites, GRE. You have to get 100 hours of internship at a physical therapy practice,
Right.
inpatient and outpatient. It was a lot of stuff. But all of those were great experiences. I mean, I increasingly became interested in more of the neurological side of things, more of the brain-based approach to treating the body. And so I got to do part of my internship hours at Mount Sinai's Brain Injury Rehabilitation Clinic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
I was very excited to get that gig and like be right there in the thick of it with some of the, best people in New York.
I'll bet. That's amazing.
Also made me realize I would never want to do inpatient.
Because?
So you had to go back and forth between the brain injury rehabilitation clinic and the spinal cord injury. So people would come in with like gunshot wounds, and it was tough.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
It's just a different kind of work. Like those people are in really rough shape, and some of them aren't going to make it.
Yeah. No, that's a whole different thing. Especially, if you're going into physical therapy, that's not quite what you're probably dealing with on a daily basis. Is people who aren't going to make it and whatnot. That's a different deal. Yeah. And so when did you get your you got certified. When did you get your doctorate? Did you get your doctorate? Is that what?
So what ended up happening is 2018. Well, let me back up for a sec. I never intended to become some sort of specialist for camera people. I just was going to go get a doctorate in physical therapy and do whatever happened.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
It just so happened that people that I would be day playing with would hear me explain something. It would make sense, and they'd want to work with me.
Yeah.
So little by little, I started having this very specific demographic of camera people.
Mm-hmm.
And as that grew, it made me realize a flip side of this equation, which is that a lot of these people were getting terrible advice from whoever they had been seeing, whether that person was a doctor or a trainer or whatnot. So many of my clients would tell me that their doctor's best advice was to put the camera down more often.
Not only impractical, but probably that's the old, it hurts when I do this, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And, it was interesting because I remember working with Jenny Jedry early in my career. And one day, we were talking about her handheld setup, and, I was using the physics of biomechanics to help her get a better handheld position. And it was nice because I can talk to her about where you're going to put the spider grips, and we can speak the same language in a way that also I think makes the other person feel more safe about the recommendation.
Yeah.
So by like fall of 2018, word had gotten around to Local 600 about what I was doing. And I get contacted by them about the possibility of starting to put on some injury prevention, sort of strength training workshops.
I was on the safety committee around that time, and I think I was one of the people who voted to clear that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was exciting, and that also really changed things because initially, I was talking to MPIHP and 600, like they were both calling me up and obviously interested in hearing good stories from people and wanting to take this somewhere. And initially I was like, heck yeah, like I'll teach those people to deadlift and we can do this and we can do that. But as they started collecting more information from a lot of people in the business, it became clear to me that that was not going to be the move, because way too many people are like who I was. They have a lot of long-term pain. They have injuries that haven't been rehabbed well. And that is not the kind of person who is ready for strength training. That's someone who needs to first and foremost understand the role of the brain in the experience of pain and what choices that means they should make in their attempt to start to get better.
Okay.
So we put together some preliminary plans to put on our first 2 workshops like this in New York. They were, a big hit. It was very exciting. And at this point, I'm like on the precipice of going to the physical therapy doctoral program, but I feel like I'm kind of at a crossroads once again, where if I get the degree, I don't see how I can keep this momentum going.
Yeah.
So
sort of that bird in the hand versus what you might do down the road. But let me ask you a question before we go on. So you said you put these two events on. Was it here's how you can strengthen so that you can do your job better, or or maybe it was both? Here's the proper way to carry cases. Here's the proper way to put a camera on your shoulder. Like, was it specific, or was it more just here's how you can keep in shape for your job?
So there was a workshop for operators and there was a workshop for assistants.
Okay, makes
Slightly
sense.
different emphasis in the content.
Yep.
For the operators, I spent a lot of time helping them how to understand where not to put your attention by understanding the role of the nervous system in perception of tension, perception of pain, etc.
And are you mostly talking about handheld, or are you also talking about how you sit on the dolly and where
we talked more about handheld?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That seems like the harshest thing we do. Maybe a Steadicam aside or whatever, but wearing it on your body.
Yeah. I mean, we also talked about just sort of simply identifying, here are the kinds of positions that you might need to get into. Here are the ranges of motion that you need to have to be healthy and not compromise a joint. Now, there was actually a component in the workshop where I went around and assessed everybody, like rapid fire, so they could at least have a checklist for themselves. I need this. I don't need to worry about that as much.
And when you say assess everybody, meaning they put a camera on their shoulder and you looked at them?
No. I mean, I assessed their joint range of motion.
I got you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. That's amazing.
Yeah. Because my feeling was that way, when they leave, it doesn't matter who they go work with. They have some starting information to say, I need help with shoulder mobility or whatever.
Yeah. It's the building blocks. I mean,
right.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously you got good feedback from that, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, we were trying for a while, we meaning me and 600, to sort of figure out where to go with this. How do you get it, approved through the budget and all that stuff? Is this a national program? Is it an Eastern region thing? Unfortunately, we weren't able to really get it off the ground. And that was disappointing. I mean, it was disappointing because I know how much people need it.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question.
And it is one of the things that I think makes camera people different than a lot of other folks who come in with the same same injuries, which is that, your body is your instrument. And now we've got to work irregular hours, no standard sleep schedule, which means you're already at an increased risk of injury. Your body doesn't know what time of day it is in terms of the cascade of effects and of like hormone responses and all these things that need to happen in the body. That puts you at risk right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So managing heavy loads on top of that, it's just an exponentially increasing challenge.
I think there's another thing that I would suggest that I've found about camera operators, and I don't want to pull anybody out, but someone else in the business who has to do something that's physical, is that, if I have the camera on my shoulder and it's uncomfortable, or I've gotten into a bad position, or my legs are in the wrong position or something like that because I've landed in a way that I didn't, which does happen, but there's an amazing performance going on in front of me. I'm not inclined to go, I got to take a minute and reset. I'm going to tough it through, because as a storyteller, I want to capture that. Whereas, someone who's lifting something up, I don't know what, but whatever, will go, hold on, let's just do this smart. Let's wait a minute. I think that there's sort of, there's a passion in there that sometimes gets in the way of what you should be doing, of being smart.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Well, and that's kind of the other thing that I try to tell my clients now is, I don't want you thinking about your body on set. I want all of our groundwork to have set the stage so that you never think. Like, movement should be reflexive. Movement should be unconscious. You don't run down the track thinking about your hip flexor, or squeezing your glutes. Like, that's not what should be happening.
Yep.
Yeah. And so all of the things that we can do with regard to repatterning movement, but also in terms of being sure that this person is set up to succeed because they have as much sensory information as possible, which is where things like the shoes you wear make a difference. It's where things like KT tape applied in a specific place can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
One of my goals is to always give my clients something they can do on set in like 60 seconds, a couple of minutes. You have a moment to step aside. You can go do this thing that is going to help their body get unglued from a position that most operators are getting glued into, that over time reduces sensory feedback.
Wow. And when you say something they can do, meaning a stretch or something along those lines?
Yes, I like to describe it as positional breathing, just because I think stretching is a very misunderstood tool.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people feel tight in areas that don't need to be stretched, and that in fact could be made worse by stretching.
Interesting.
So it's very rare that I would advise someone to stretch, maybe 2% of the time.
Yeah.
But are we putting them in positions where muscles that don't work very well will work, and the muscles that work too much will be forced to let go of tension? Yes, that's what we're doing.
That's amazing. And is this sort of something you've come up with on your own, or you've adapted from other things?
So the foundation of a lot of what I do with people right now is from a group called the Postural Restoration Institute.
Wow. That's a title. Yeah.
They are, out of all places, out of Lincoln, Nebraska. They do very good work, and a lot of what their stuff is addressing is human asymmetry.
Say that again.
A lot of what they are addressing is human asymmetry.
Human asymmetry. Oh, I thought it was like one long word. I'm like, oh wow, okay. And I would imagine with their work, I bet a lot of that has to do with computers and phones and things like that have sort of destroyed how we all stand and sit now.
Not really.
Oh, really?
The premise of everything they do is that the human body is inherently asymmetrical, which it is. You have 3 lobes of lung on the right. You have 2 on the left. You have a liver on the right. You don't have one on the left. Have you ever noticed, for instance, and like anyone listening to this, you can start looking around on set to check it out. People will far more often stand on their right leg, like relaxed into their right side. You don't see many people doing it on the left. Now, if they're not doing that, what they're probably doing is having both feet turning out and they're kind of extended forward a little bit, like knees locked, this kind of thing.
Okay.
People tend to do one of those 2 things, and they're both a symptom of the same thing, which is an underlying bias into the right side.
Huh.
Now, of course, for a camera operator, this is significant because normal people have this. We all have this. Now, you put a 50-pound camera on that times how many hours per week, and you are glued into that right side, in addition to the fact that your visual system is a big part of how you're orienting yourself in space. Now, that matters even more because the unconscious proprioceptive feedback we get from the body works together with the visual system to tell you where center is.
Huh. Okay.
So, yeah.
So is the fact that we're using one eye a fair amount of the time messing with that essentially?
It's certainly relevant. I'm not even, I mean, the fact that your visual system is as relied upon as it is, like so often when I have a camera operator on that table and I ask them to do something with their body, they look at their body. I'm like, no, your eyes don't tell you what your body should do. Your body
That's very funny, but I could see that actually.
happens all the time. I'm like, okay, now try it without looking.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's fascinating. I'm gonna check on this. The funny thing is, I know that I do it, but in fairness, I shattered my left hip, and so
Sure.
everything I do leans towards the right, and my left leg is actually shorter as a result of it. But I've never thought about what other people do, so now I'm going to be surreptitiously looking at other people on set, and I'm sure you're correct. I mean, I have no doubt.
I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
That's what well, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like trying to think of people. So basically, do you sort of essentially take what they're sort of doing and then tweak it towards our specific field, towards what we do, or does it apply right out of the box?
I think everyone has their own unique application of what PRI is teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think my process is a little bit different. I think because of having been a camera assistant, my ability to troubleshoot a system was sound before I went into this other career.
Clearly, I mean,
I'm also just, a curious person. So before I found PRI, I was interested in understanding more about the role of the vestibular system. The vestibular system is your inner ears, which is part of what you use to help regulate balance, in addition to the visual system and proprioceptive,
mm-hmm.
meaning what you feel from your environment through your tissues.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, I used to, well, let me pause on that for a second. While I was in school doing all of my PT school prerequisites, I was taking every continuing education course I could manage. So on the weekend, if I didn't get booked for day playing or something, or I didn't have clients, I would be in some 16-hour continuing education course.
Oh my gosh. That's, I mean, yeah, I have trouble getting through a book. That's amazing. But clearly, this is a part of your personality that you're, like you said, you're curious and you're driven. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I like to just say I get into stuff.
That's great. That's fantastic. So at this point, you have your own business, right?
Yes.
And your business is called?
Liz Cash Strength and Conditioning.
And just so we put it out there, maybe we'll put it on the website. And at the end, is website or Instagram? What's the best way to find out?
Instagram is Liz Cash Machine.
Liz Cash Machine. Okay. All right.
And the website is lizcashpt.com.
Okay.
lizcashpt.com/links has most of the goodies that I think someone would want to know about when they first find out about me and the business.
I'll list all these, but at least people listening will know. So I would imagine that anybody can come to you, but are most of the people who come to you film people?
Yeah, I pretty much have 95% film people, and then I have typically friends and family of film people.
Of course, that's just that's part of the process, right? But so without sharing any specifics, have you had anybody who's come to you who's really been in a really bad way that you've had success with, where you can share like what you've been able to do for them, just to sort of give an idea?
So he wouldn't mind me sharing this at all. I actually saw him on Zoom just the other day, but I'm sure many of you have seen 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020, Keir Delay, the lead actor from 2001, was referred to me partially because of this stuff I was just talking about my study of the vestibular system and how that impacts the way the body is working. He had been knocked off his bike, unfortunately, at 80 some odd years old, had a stroke and a concussion.
Oh.
And prior to that, he'd been very healthy and active his whole life. His wife heard about my work with the vestibular system through a mutual friend in the business. And so we worked together to get him walking because he could barely walk.
Wow.
Now, we did all of this on Zoom.
Oh my God. Wow.
In the thick of the pandemic. And a lot of what I did with him had to do with this stuff we're talking about. You cannot walk if you do not unconsciously understand midline.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to be able to shift weight from one foot to the other. And the only way you have a left and a right is if you have a center.
So let me ask you a question. He obviously knew how to walk beforehand, and he was in this horrible accident. So if you were able to show him how to do this, it wasn't that his muscles couldn't do it. It's just
That's right.
He wasn't talking to them correctly, or, I mean, I don't know. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. So he had the stroke on the left side of his brain, which impacts the right side of the body.
Yeah. Okay.
So strength was not his issue based on the history they reported to me. He had ridden his bike like 20 miles most days of the week.
Yeah.
And what I did was assess a few things. Where is his peripheral vision? How much can he look straight ahead and be aware of the periphery? Because you need to have peripheral vision in order to walk well.
Yeah.
Additionally, the cerebellum, which is the part of the brain that regulates accuracy, timing, and precision, also influences sense of midline. Now, we don't think of walking as something that requires that much accuracy, but if you lost it, it does.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's what did someone say? It's controlled falling or something like that, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so.
Wow.
We on his first virtual assessment did a number of tests to determine what was he responding best to. Those things were definitely cerebellar interventions, again, peripheral vision with reference to its impact on midline. And then the other most important thing was because of the stroke, he couldn't feel his right foot.
Wow.
So this is where sensory input matters, and I can't emphasize that enough. If you can't feel it, your brain doesn't know it's there. And you're not going to walk very well with a foot that you can't feel.
Well, you also have no idea how much pressure you're putting on it, when
exactly.
All those things, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So for the most part, we worked on activities to promote his ability to feel his foot.
Mm-hmm.
We did cerebellum activities and peripheral vision, and 2 weeks later, you can see him on my Instagram walking across the room unsupported, no problem.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
So basically, on my very layman's understanding of this, everything that he was dealing with was neurological, and you just had to sort of reset that so that he could. How amazing, and like how sort of depressing to think that if he hadn't found you, he'd still be, well, I mean, who knows what would happen, but theoretically he would still just be sitting there thinking my legs don't work or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm assuming he didn't get feeling back in his foot. He just learned how to overcome that situation.
No, he got feeling back.
Really?
One of the very simple things I would do, his wife would be there in the room with him, and I would have her touch one of his toes, and he would have to tell her without looking, that's my big toe.
Oh.
That's my pinky toe. And he got better and better as we did those things. But we had to go through a process of helping him feel it. And there were other ways to improve sensory feedback in that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, stimulating information to the brain. So sensory input precedes mechanical output.
Uh-huh.
And that sort of broad concept is a really important thing for people to understand, because if you're on set and you're doing Steadicam or whatever, and you feel your back, it's working. The question is, do you want to only feel your back? Are there other muscles that we need you to feel in order to improve your endurance? Because muscles function relative to the position that they're in. So some people only ever feel their quads because of the position of their pelvis. And until you change the position of the pelvis through inhibiting some muscles, inhibiting sort of means turning off, and facilitating others, aka turning on, you're going to keep using those muscles.
Wow. So is most of the work you're doing, for lack of a better word, and again, I'm sure I'm saying this wrong, neurological versus like I said, I thought more of what you did was you mentioned you don't like this word as much, but like stretching and positions, that and the other. But it's more than a lot. That's fascinating. I had no idea. That's really incredible, and the fact that you did that over Zoom too kind of blows my mind. But now that I understand what you're talking about more, why would you have to be in the room with them if you know? I mean, you need someone like you said, his wife to touch his fingers or whatever, or his toes. That's really incredible. So do most of the people who come to you have a problem they're dealing with, or do you get people who are just like, I'm a camera operator and I want to make sure that I'm not going to hurt myself, you know?
I get both, but I would probably say 75% of people who come to me are either currently injured or recently injured.
And are you able to help most of the people who come to you?
Yes.
That's great.
I'd say 99%.
That's it. And is it usually in that sort of, I mean, to me, that's a very quick time period.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Everybody's different in that regard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it also depends on the issue. I mean, you know, the interesting thing about some of this is that, like, yes, there's the getting information to the brain is a huge part of it, but there are other things that influence someone's adaptation. Are they sleeping? How's their nutrition? What is their social life like? You know, what are the other stressors that can be impacting how well they're going to retain what we're trying to do?
That's this is all kind of mind blowing. I didn't really know much about what you did, even though I probably should have known more. I just knew, like I said, when it came up to 600, I had heard your name and I'd heard very good things, and I had an overview. We had an overview of what you were doing, so that was the limited knowledge that I had. So yeah, that's kind of amazing. So what advice would you give to camera operators? Is there advice, I mean, sort of blanket advice you can give to camera operators on how to avoid injury, you know, stay in shape for camera operating, or is that not a fair question?
I think the two biggest things that I would say to anyone, one of them builds on what I said before, which is that the human body is inherently asymmetrical. So by first addressing and prioritizing getting out of the asymmetrical patterns that you're in is going to be the fastest way to both reduce risk of injury, pain, and to improve performance. Because as you unwind those asymmetries, you're going to more easily be able to access muscles that you probably weren't able to, and you're going to get more out of your efforts to be stronger, you know, etc.
Gotcha. Wow.
So that's a big one. And like I said, my goal is to always have a few specific exercises for the person in front of me that they can do on set.
Yeah.
To help stay ahead of that, because that's the name of the game. Just don't let it build up.
That's incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
The other one is honestly the shoes on your feet.
Yeah.
That is so important. I can't say enough about it. So postural restoration has a clinic side of the institute. It's called the Horuska Clinic. And the Horuska Clinic puts out a list of shoes that they have tested. I believe twice a year they update the list based on most current models that are available. When I started recommending those shoes, now they're based on your arch height, your history of ankle sprains and things like that.
Yeah.
But when I started getting my clients in those shoes, which was 3 years ago now, game changer.
Really?
Oh yeah, because it's sensory information.
Wow.
It's sensory information, and especially for people who have had ankle sprains or anything, stabilizing that ankle, therefore sending better information up the chain from the foot is so important.
Wow.
One of the most recent continuing education courses I took is about the interplay between what we can feel from our feet and the visual system. And one of the things that he said that, man, I just want to like write it on the wall is an ankle sprain is like getting stabbed in the eye.
Having done it, I can vouch for that. Yeah, that's wow.
And I will say that checks out. Even from early in my days, you know, in this new career, I would see that people who had a history of ankle sprains would do all kinds of weird things in simple positions, split squats, you know, that other people didn't do. It was interesting to notice, like early, something's going on here.
That's amazing. I definitely want to get those links because I'll put them on I'll put them in the website and I'll put them in the podcast thing. But so when you say they have a list of shoes, meaning like this company, this model is good if you, like you said, depending on your arch
height.
arch height and other things, but you can sort of zero in on like, these are the best couple of pairs of shoes for me.
Mhm.
And wow, I'm going to check that out. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, N of one and all of that, but I recently got back into running for the first time in a while, and I've been running a lot on concrete, intensity and all of that, and I feel better than ever
Really?
in these shoes.
Wow.
I mean, it's not just the shoes, it's also the activities. This stuff about asymmetry is no joke. You get stuck on one side, you might feel good there for a while, but sooner or later you're going to blow up. The analogy I like to give people for this is if you don't turn the lights off, they burn out.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question about the asymmetry, because just to make sure I understand it. So you're saying the body's asymmetrical, which that I get, and that makes sense. And you explained it actually very, very, very easily, which I like. So, like, to go to, most people stand on the right side, or lean on the right side when they stand. So to overcome the asymmetry, and I know I'm being very simplistic here, but you would basically make sure that you spend time leaning on the left side as well to pull you back to center? I mean, is it sort of that conceptually? I'm not saying that's the answer, but
Simply put, yes. I mean,
I'm not
unfortunately,
suggesting people do that or saying that you're suggesting that's what it is, but that's what I'm sort of saying is, are you sort of acknowledging the fact that certain you do certain things certain ways and trying to pull it back the other way because so you don't fall into those patterns?
yes. Now, of course, how you do it matters.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And there are a lot of little tells for these things. But, for a lot of people out there, even before we worry so much about standing on your right foot versus standing on your left foot, I would just say unlock your knees. Unlock your knees.
Unlock your knees, meaning don't stand perfectly straight up, bend them a little bit, or
Meaning most people are standing on a locked out knee. So, yeah, a very slight bend in your knee
Mhm.
is also going to force you to then unlock your back, because most people have their knees locked out and then they let their hips fall forward and now they're hanging out on their low back and their knees.
And so it's basically just a big domino effect.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Now, I mean, that then requires more muscles to support you, so you're going to feel tired faster. But that is one of the simplest things that people on set could start doing
Yeah.
to just support their body a little bit better. It's also going to encourage you to stand a little more evenly, which probably is also going to be tiring for people, not shift into one side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a nice starting place.
I'm going to be a pain in the butt on set tomorrow. What about? I mean, do you have any advice for people for handheld as far as just builds or whatever, or is that is it specific to people?
So beyond, of course, having a balanced camera, which
Yeah.
I know can be tough, these days more than in the film days.
Well, on that note, not to interrupt you, but I was just watching the behind the scenes to something, and I'm not going to say what it is. And it was a very big handheld sequence, and I looked at it, and I mean, if there was 10% of the weight on the person's shoulder, I was shocked. Everything was forward, and their hands, you could see their muscles bulging, holding it up. And I was thinking,
Sure.
I mean, it was easier with film, but like you can build it out. I mean, you can build it out ways to get it better anyway. I'm sort of shocked. I see these cameras all the time where all the weight is forward and everybody's holding it up with their hands. I just don't understand it. But,
Well, and that's a perfect example of one of my top recommendations for handheld, which is that given that I think that's more common than it used to be,
yeah,
even if we can just all agree this is not what we want, then what I want to see is a vertical forearm position. Because if the force of gravity relative to the camera is pulling down on your arm and your forearm is somewhat horizontal, now you've got a lot of force going through that wrist.
yeah. So basically, your arms are almost at 90 degrees going straight up, as opposed to the weight's all the way forward, and you're at 45 degrees, and then you're tensing it all the time.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you can have a more vertical forearm position, then at least you're pressing up and using bigger muscles than we've got in this scenario. So we're just bringing those forces closer to center.
No, that's great. Yeah, but again, it comes down to moving that weight back and getting it more central on your shoulder.
Well, and I'm a big fan of whatchamacallit, cine saddle or something under the arms, because if you can get that support here, then you're going to be working a lot less hard to maintain this position.
You know, it looks stupid, but I started doing this years ago with certain shots. I have one of those, I don't know what you call it, but weightlifters use it. It's a little like metal thing that they wear around their chest that their arms go under for dumbbell curls.
Mm-hmm.
So your
locks you in.
Against there, and I've built it out a little bit, but it's amazing because it just, you like you said, I mean, with some of these cameras, you're no longer pushing your arms up; they're locked in there, and it becomes part of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So same idea as the Cine saddle, but Cine saddle has a little more options, obviously. But yeah, those are all great. And I mean, is it safe to say that sitting down as much as you can during the day is a good thing?
Yeah, I think sitting down is good. I think, there are some techniques from the Postural Restoration Institute that I recommend to my clients that are so simple to sneak in, like sit on an apple box and crouch for a second. And that is actually, if you do it the right way, going to help your low back to calm down. It's going to help your abs to turn on. So then when you go back for the next take or after lunch or whatever it is, you're going to just have so much better odds because you've got some muscles online and you've got some muscles offline that need a break.
Wow. That's amazing. It's just like you have this treasure trove of information for operators. Do you see more operators than other people, or is it across the board?
Yeah, I would say more operators than other people, or people who are interested in making the jump. I would say
ahead of time. We could have used you back in the day, because back in the day, I mean, I've been doing Steadicam 35 years, and I've joked on this podcast before that, yes, and I can still walk, but not as well as I used to. But it used to be like you'd put it on and you go, is it supposed to hurt? And they were like, yeah, it's supposed to hurt. Just deal with it.
I hate that.
But we didn't, like, nobody knew. And the vests were not, I don't even know if it's the right word, but the vests were not ergonomic in any way. They were just able to strap to you, and so you just sort of like and there was no thought about it given. I look at all the vests now, and actually I remember very specifically being in an early workshop, and me and a couple other guys were like, why doesn't it attach in the back to bring your center of gravity? And everybody was like, attach in the back, you can't do that. And then now they've got these vests that attach in the back, which makes so much more sense. But sadly I can't get my head around, but that's
I mean, one of the things that I will just throw out here, in 2022, I had been thinking for probably since 2019, when I really started working with Steadicam operators, why is there no diagnostic process that helps people decide what vest they should be in?
I was going to ask you about this.
That blows my mind. How is that possible? And so I had been thinking about it for years. Anyway, I'm sitting in this continuing education course one weekend, and I was like, I got it. I think I know who's who, what are their characteristics. And so back then I opened a study inviting people to participate so I could test my hypothesis. It was very exciting at first. A whole lot of people signed up from around the world. Unfortunately, most of them did not actually send back to me the information that I needed.
Okay.
So I decided to go about it a different way. And basically, anytime I have an opportunity to get my hands on a Steadicam operator, I note into my spreadsheet of information, who are they, what vest do they have, what are their characteristics. What has come out of this is that while I'm not yet comfortable because I haven't had, what I want is 100 completed profiles. I've seen 100 people, they fit the paradigm or they don't fit the paradigm, so I can conclusively say yes or no to my hypothesis.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is what I have developed is a way to test people before and after to determine whether or not the vest they're using is working for them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And in some ways, it's fairly straightforward because you would see demonstrable improvements in some of the movement tests that I would do with anyone who walks in the door if the equipment they're using, no matter what it is good for them.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, with the shoes on the shoe list from the Huruska Clinic, the shoes that are better for you will improve your range of motion testing.
Really?
Yes.
That's unbelievable. Going back to the Steadicam thing, so on your website the other day, while I was poking around, I found that and I signed up and I got an email that you wanted information from me. So do you still want that email?
Sure. I mean, I figure people might as well keep sending it in. I think I've got 80, so we're not too far.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'll talk to some people and see if we can get you over the top because that would help all of us. I will probably drag my feet on getting you the information, but I will get it to you because I saw I had to like take some videos of me doing certain things or whatever. I didn't look at the whole thing yet.
Yeah, there's a movement process, so I can
Mhm.
see how you move and what you look like,
Yep.
anthropometrics. And then there's a subjective survey where you tell me, I feel this, I don't feel that. And
Yep.
I need both of those for each person.
I got you. All right. Well, I'm going to see if I can rustle up some people to do this because that would be fascinating to actually have a definitive, like, this is the way you fit a vest. Because I'm right there with you. I mean, well, look, there used to not be different vests, and now there, who knows how many vests there are. And it's sort of like saying, here's the suit that fits all men. I mean, it's
Yes.
or the dress that fits all women or whatever. It's ridiculous.
Well, and to be clear, it's not so much specifically about how the vest is fitted. It's about what kind of vest should you even be in.
That's what I meant. I mean, what's
Yeah, okay,
gonna
good.
work for you better or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just broadly talking about back mounted, front mounted, and then I put EXO in its own category for certain reasons.
Yep. Gotcha. Oh, fascinating. That's great. Well, I'm gonna get on that and see if I can do this. And how many years has your business been going?
I started working for myself in 2016,
Okay,
so we're coming up on 10 years in the new career.
that's fantastic. And so, are you getting bored yet? You gonna move on to something else, or?
No,
Do you miss the film industry at all?
I miss the people.
The people, yeah.
I don't miss the
But you
work.
get to see some of them, obviously. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure people come to you and whatnot.
Yeah, and I still get to hang out with some of my friends from the business, when they're not
Yeah,
working so much, so that's fun.
sure.
But
And the average person who comes to you, do they come to you for a month or for 6 months or a year, or is that not even a thing? It depends on what they need.
it depends on what they need. I would say most people probably come to me for a couple months.
Okay,
I mean,
gotcha.
I have two ways for people to work with me. I have kind of a most time invested with me for people who have severe pain or long-term pain.
Yeah.
If you're in one of those categories, I want to see you more often, more consistently.
And can you still do that by Zoom, even though we're not COVID? Like you can do that as I probably not as effectively, but effectively nonetheless.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The other program I have is for people who don't have intense pain or it hasn't been that long. And that program is more focused on strength training, conditioning, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So that's how I delineate those two based on where you are and what you need. Because in the program where it's more strength training, they don't spend as much time with me. So I need to know that they're safe to
Yeah,
do things a little more on their own.
sure. That makes sense. Yeah, that's really amazing. Um, I would be remiss if I moved on without asking you about your air hockey. Do you want to tell people about? Because like I came across that and I was like, okay, this is a very interesting person. Clearly,
Like I said, I get into stuff.
now you were in like I don't know the year, but like some air hockey world championship stuff or whatever. Oh my gosh! Just like we're on a podcast, but Liz just turned around the camera so I can see what. Oh, the air. Oh no, turn it to the right. I can't see it fully, or left, I guess. The Air Hockey Masters Apprentice.
Yeah.
So tell me about this.
So, yeah, so I got recruited to play air hockey.
Okay, back up. You got recruited. So you're playing air hockey in a club, at a bar?
I had a friend who I met through a meetup, like meetup.com event.
Mm-hmm.
And one day he said, meet me at this place. We're going to play somewhere new. And I said, okay. And I show up, and lo and behold, it was a meetup of the New York Air Hockey Club.
Didn't know it was a thing, but fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people there. They're all pretty good. And then there was this one guy who was incredible. Like,
Hang on, go back up. So you met this person because they liked air hockey as well?
yes.
Okay, so there was an air hockey sort of connection, and then he said there's this larger thing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, he says, meet me here. So I meet him there, and there's the guy who's the organizer of the New York Air Hockey Club. And he is doing incredible things I've never seen anyone do. Like, from my perspective at that time, he may as well have just like levitated above the table, because I was like, oh my God, who is this guy?
Wait. I have so many questions. Doing things that you've never seen, like you mean almost like pool thing, like
So
with.
one of the things that you do in competitive air hockey that's different than what most people know as air hockey is called a diamond drift. And in a diamond drift, you move your mallet like in a diagonal towards one side of the goal and it knocks the puck up. Then you come back and it knocks it down. And you make a diamond shaped
Okay.
circle around the puck. And it makes it really hard to know what they're about to do because they're kind of doing this
So it's
circular.
almost like dribbling it before you shoot it,
Yes.
sort of. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and I've never seen anyone do this, and of course he beats me, and at that point I thought I was like so good, how dare
Yeah.
he beat me? But afterwards he says pretty much the same thing the boxing guy said. He was like, "Look, I think you could be the best woman in the world, and if you want to, I'll train you."
Good Lord.
And I was like, "Sure."
Did you know that there was a competitive air hockey world?
No, I had
didn't
no
know.
idea.
That's so. All right. So cut to the Rocky montage.
Yeah, so cut to 2019, he calls me up and he says, "So someone from the New York Times is interested in doing a story about air hockey, you know." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Sick, let's go."
I'm definitely linking to this, by the way. So anybody listening to this will go to the website and see it.
Well, so this is where I will say the background in film really makes a difference, because when I got a chance to sit down and talk to the writer, I'm telling her a good story.
Of course. No question.
Yeah. So, yeah, they do this whole cover on us preparing to go to the World Championship tournament that year. This was 2019. It was really crazy. I mean, I'm from Kentucky. To end up with this article in the New York Times because of air hockey, of all things, I was just like, wow.
And where was the World Championships?
The World Championships that year were in Colorado Springs.
Okay. And how did you do?
I did okay. I think there was a lot of pressure and I was nervous.
Okay.
I mean, I think I finished like 22nd or something that year. That year was also different. This past year is the first time that I've gone back to World Championships since the pandemic hit.
Okay.
Now they have a women's only tournament. Before it was open.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, the less you've competed, your seed in the tournament is worse. So you have to get through a lot of players. It's a double elimination tournament, so you can only lose twice before you're knocked out of the overall.
All right.
But this past year, I finished 4th in the Women's World Championships.
Wow.
I was hoping for top 3, but, so close. I can't be too upset about it because all the other ladies in the top 3 have their own air hockey tables.
And you're like, I'm in New York. Come on.
I mean, I could put it somewhere. It just have to be the dinner table.
Well, what you need to do is get an air hockey table that doubles as a massage table. Like, you put the thing on top, and it could actually blow air through and make cool people off as you go. That's incredible, though. So so you're going to keep on going back. I'm assuming this is a thing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as a business owner, it gets to be a little bit much sometimes where, depending on what's going on with work, I don't feel like I can step away to prioritize training for the tournament. And also because I'm competitive, I don't want to show up if I don't feel ready.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to crack the top 3. It'd be nice to get number 1. That was the goal.
Yeah. And when you say training, isn't training just playing air hockey? Is there like...
No, so air hockey is a strategy sport.
Yeah.
And the most fundamental way to explain the strategy is that at any place in your offensive game, you want to be able to hit a shot that goes to the left side of the goal, and from the exact same place on the table, a different shot that goes to the right side of the goal.
So they don't know what's coming, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So you start to set them up to go one way when you actually shoot the other way.
Well, it's like every shot is a kick on goal in soccer kind of thing, right? They don't want you to know ahead of time where they're going to kick the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, there are a number of different shots, from this side to that side, from this side to this side, from that side, left, right, all that stuff.
Wow.
And then straight shots.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to North Carolina there's a really strong air hockey community in North Carolina, and I went down there in March, and boy, those kids they're good, and they've got a ton of air hockey tables, so they've got lots of training partners and training time. And
Wow.
it's a fun sport because you're not going to hurt yourself that badly if you do get hurt.
Yep.
And you're still just playing air hockey. Like, it's a
Yeah.
fun time.
That's great. That's fantastic. And when you are really training, is it like you go and you play hours every day kind of thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, for instance, at World Championships last year, on day one, it's a 3-day tournament. On day one, I played 50 games.
Oh my gosh. And wait, how long is a game timed or no?
It's however long it takes.
To get to a certain number?
So it's first to 7 per game.
Okay.
And then it's best of 7 games. So you could play 4 games if someone wins it, or you could play all 7.
Wow, 50. That's unbelievable. Are there air hockey groupies?
Yes.
Maybe I'll become an air hockey groupie. And is there like sponsorship and stuff like that?
There's a little bit of sponsorship. Yeah. I mean, for anyone who's interested, what you should check out is the Centerline Air Hockey on YouTube.
Oh.
The Centerline is a channel run by a former, I believe, 11-time world champion.
Wow.
And they have, pretty professional televised matches. There's usually about 1 a quarter. But they've had some amazing throwdown air hockey matches. And, for anyone who wants to get a sense of what professional air hockey is like, just watch these guys.
I'm probably not going to sleep before I go to work tomorrow now, thanks to this, I can tell. That's fascinating, though. Well, congratulations on that. And it's what a great sort of like, I don't know, side story to all of this.
Like I said, I get into things.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, this has been really great. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to sort of put out there for anybody who might want to come see you or is worried about getting hurt at work or whatever?
Well, like I said, I would definitely go to lizcashpt.com/links. If you're interested in learning more, there are some articles there. You can read more about my approach to working with people. There's also a booking link if you want to book a free call and just talk to me for 15 minutes about what's going on, gather a little more information. My middle tier program for people who don't have a lot of pain and are ready to work on strength opens for enrollment in May.
Okay, that's good.
So, yeah, it opens twice a year right now. So if you feel like you're a good fit for that, you don't have a lot of pain, it hasn't been going on that long, and you're ready to get some guidance, it's fully customized, it's one-on-one. I think that's a really great starting point for people who want training specific to the industry. And it's a 6-month program, so you get some nice longevity out of it. For any of you local 600 folks who are in the New York area, we have a Young Workers Committee movement workshop coming up on May 10th. It's free to attendees. There is a limited number of people, so you have to RSVP. It may be full by now, but I don't think so. So get in there. Even if it is full, you can still put your name on the list in case someone drops out. They'll let you know.
Again, thank you. I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody, even though you're not really in the film industry right now, but you have knowledge of it. People getting into the film industry today, thoughts that you can leave them with on how to succeed in general, not necessarily physically related, because you gave a lot of that already, but anything you can impart on younger people getting into the business?
Not physically related.
Well, you could do it physically. I'm not going to put any rules on it. You can say whatever you want.
I will say this. Definitely don't underestimate asking for things. Don't underestimate asking for help, for education, I think that is some part of my story that I think other people might benefit from is like, just ask. It's okay. People do want to help, and especially if you're interested and you're excited, they're going to be there to meet you there, I think. So I think that's thing one. With the body stuff, I would just say, I think the most important thing for people in the industry to learn to have a healthy, long career is to learn how to do more with less in terms of their physical conditioning stuff. Whatever your goals are, the number one thing to prioritize is it sustainable? If it's not sustainable, you fall off the wagon, you lose your results that you got when you had more time. Don't do that. Start with less. If you can get great results on 20 minutes a day, great. Stick with it. You know, the consistency over time is one of the most important things you can develop.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.